TSM and Optic Gaming. 4 and 7 could look to tie up these scores if Optic finds a win here.
Exactly. You think about these teams where Optic was struggling at the bottom, kind of back and forth at the beginning, trying to figure out, hey, can we get these wins? And they ended up dropping it. When they had things like one team fight, one ability from winning, their record could be very different, but that didn't discourage them, and they started surging here, getting 3 wins in their last 5 games. And so, one more against TSM here actually ties them in the standings against this team that has made the finals every NALCS.
So, Zyrene, look at these compositions one more time. We kind of considered that both teams drafted well yesterday, considering the champions are for their players, for the team, their style. Do we feel that they were both as well good drafts today?
Ooh, right now, just from a base standpoint, I actually like Optic's composition slightly more because it's more standard. Wave clear, siege, team fighting, split push ability, and they have a good tank line. Whereas TSM, split push with the Rise and the Gnar, and then the Ezreal doesn't scale as well.
Right.
And Mike Young does have to get some kills early or assist, or else he risks falling off.
Optic versus TSM, we are on to the Rift. Week 6, day 2, game 1. Let's see what these teams have for each other. What homework was done? Somebody went to bed earlier, stayed up last night. We'll know. We will know. Right down the mid lane, everybody sets up the line of scrimmage. Doesn't look like anything crazy will happen as Optic spreads out, and so does TSM.
And so I just got a stat pull here for the top lane matchup. So we actually
Give it to me.
We track certain matchups and look at CS differential to look at things like, is this a counter matchup, right? And so typically people will say things like the Camille counters Gnar because she can get in there and has kill potential. And she does, but Gnar will typically, as the stat says here, have a CS advantage during the early parts of the game. At 15 minutes, Gnar averages up 9.8 CS against Camille. So despite it being one that Camille has that pressure in, Gnar, from an even standpoint, is able to get a little advantage early on average, and then it comes to those team fights and how you play it out there. But the Gnar usually gets a little bit of a leg up in this matchup.
I mean, that's a super pivotal point. If you were to have a level 6 with a Gnar ultimate and a Mike Young Kazakh's top, that's a dead Camille, especially if she doesn't have 6 yet. That disparity of minions is a quick level above 5.
Exactly. Having the shove will get you that level 6, level 2 a little bit faster. And so the Camille has to kind of keep pace. And having played this matchup a lot myself, the Camille has to find ways to get pressure early, and if she doesn't, she does have to seed the lane for a very long time. And she basically becomes a different champion when she has Trinity Force and her Tiamat, whether it's Titanic or Ravenous Hydra. She feels like a completely different champion, but early on, you do need to find some pressure windows and some trades, and not just completely seed it, unless the Gnar starts getting above you because you didn't play it correctly.
Well, looks like Concert able to get the lane. Gets a little bit of that CS early as well, but only a few. Will mean a level 2. Could get some control over Dokla here as he gets a tactical sweep in. Nice early damage as he gets farm for farm and kind of hit for hit. Junglers both on their wolf camps as they start to head over to Raptor side, so we're actually going to get opposite sides of the junglers, and we'll see how that pressure affects as they complete their pathing.
It's interesting because the Sejuani, you typically want to start on the bottom side with your bottom lane, but since he has the machete, it's very easy for him, alongside fleet footwork and the attack speed from the precision tree, to go after all those single target camps, go after the Gromp, go after the blue buff. And so Cadian's just doing kind of a full clear here. Into a Hunter's Potion, actually. So he cleared his blue side completely, is going to ignore his top lane here, and because it's going to get pushed in. And Dokla's playing a little bit safer because of that, and not going for aggressive trades.
Dokla keeping Hansard pretty damaged as well, so if they kind of did go for a trade, he might be able to make it in his favor. A little early for everything. Keeping things set up. It's nice. Put everything in order, and it might just work. Mike Young find himself on the top side of the map here for a little bit of vision, and he leaves the Scryer's Bloom as well. Doesn't really want to give himself up if he doesn't think he's been seen. Yeah,
Scryer's Bloom is that double-edged sword. You don't hit it unless you feel like you're going to get something for it. Hit it, give away your position, and that could be a lot of your pressure here, especially since you can see Acadian has already gone for a multi-camp clear here. Looks like he's got 5 camps down already, whereas Mike Young has 4 plus Scuttle Crab.
So much hurt from the Raptors.
Yeah, Raptors. It doesn't feel good until you get Hunter's Talisman, or Hunter's, yes, Talisman.
Right.
And when you do, it just feels great. They're basically a health potion for you as Sejuani. You get to W them, walk away, and they just heal you.
So now kind of a mirror image here. Acadian trying to get that deep vision in, but he puts a forward pink ward, hoping to keep that vision for quite a while. And that's not really a brush you would walk through as a Kha'Zix, if you will. You keep yourself on the sides and you keep farming it out to hit the side lanes. Now coming around behind Bjergsen, he just saw a little bit of love from Mike Young in mid, so they know he may be out playing with the camps. Bjergsen's able to walk out of that. So same on both sides. A little jungle pressure to mid as we expect for Power of Evil, having that very high jungle proximity for himself. He still gets love from Acadian. They're going to walk into Mike Young, and they got to know that's happening. The vision's on the bottom, but they say, we can still fight Mike Young if he comes into
Mike
this.
went in.
And he walks straight into it. Has to get over the wall. That's a quick hop for himself. Not too much trouble, but that did not play out how TSM wanted it.
No, not at all. Bjergsen has to blow his flash and heal, despite, you know, he's going to have his Summoner Spellbook, so it'll be a little bit of a lower cooldown, but they traded 2 Summoner Spells on their mid laner for the one from Acadian, and Acadian is going to be a little bit safer in the jungle, so if he's able to actually find a revisit onto Bjergsen in the future, and we're seeing that jungle proximity of Power of Evil come in handy there. A lot of the early action that Acadian was going for was around that mid lane. We saw like the last 45 to 60 seconds hovering PoE.
Keeping those numbers.
I also find it interesting that Acadian doesn't have Domination secondary, so he doesn't have Zombie Ward this game.
Quick lockup, almost getting both of those concussive blows down. If you want to continue on Acadian.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually opted out of that, and so he's gone for a little bit more in terms of scaling and some stats. So he's not actually worried too much about Zombie Ward, which is incredibly powerful on the current patch when you have Tracker's Knife. It's not as powerful on 8.4 when the Tracker's Knife was removed, so...
Maybe he heard TSM doesn't work.
Maybe, but Zombie Ward would definitely give you a pretty large advantage. And Dokla...
Seems like he wants to get aggressive. Little bop on the head as Haunter gets himself back into position to farm out the lane. 48-40 here as Dokla is able to make it back quick and apply pressure here within that laning phase, kind of cutting if Haunter can farm from safety.
Yeah, so he had a big wave pushing towards him. He gets to clear it out. And now there's a big wave here for Haunter. Is Dokla going to all in with that level 6? You were talking about the disadvantage.
Just hit it, hits it first, and there's no Narvar to hit the top. Haunter could be going down a little hop away. Does he go full on it? A 3v2 in mid lane as Mike Young gets stung up in the gravity field. Lemon Nation almost here to enter with the dazzle, but they get a quick rift walk out. And Dokla with low mana is going to stay away from this turret dive.
Yeah, because Mike Young went over to that side of the jungle, and Meganar is coming through from Haunter. So
level 6 there.
Despite the all-in from Dokla, he didn't get the kill onto Haunter or a flash. Woo. So it doesn't end up actually meaning a whole lot in the grand scheme of things.
Maybe get himself I call them what? I call them gummy bears. Ooh, they're delicious.
You should call them Starburst.
That's pretty good too. That's good too.
Look, the juicy fruit.
The honey fruits, as they are, as Kobe would say.
Yeah, they are actually the honey fruits. That is the canon.
A lot of the times, you just kind of forget they're there, and you're like, I wish I could stay in lane, I don't have health. Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, those are there. Or I could have just kind of grabbed Scuttle and got a little HP back just from being out here longer and getting gold.
I thought they were going to be fought over a little bit more when we introduced them as a concept. Like, oh, if you have priority, it's so broken because you can just go there, get health and money, don't have to back. And it's actually not that insane, but it's still really good to have. I mean, it's just better to have than not, but people don't really fight over it that much.
But I am very particular about letting Scuttle get any of my honey fruit. That is absolutely a no-no. You must prevent that. Bjergsen back in the mid lane. Blue has been delivered over now, gives them an idea of where Mike Young is, but that's going to be the same here for Acadian. So it's a few mind games of knowledge that they can play here without really having the vision. Just about 8 minutes in as those buffs spawn again. Bjergsen with a quick push to lane. 73. Doesn't have enough gold just to back yet, so it looks like he'll stay for a few more waves. 76 to 64 in the bot side. So TSM actually doing quite well here in the laning phase to hold steady with the team they need to get to the late game with.
Yeah, and Sven pushing out the wave there, looking for a roam or a back here. I would assume a back timer. They're always very particular about their back timers here. When I was watching the NALCS Lounge with Sven and Mithy, they were constantly talking about back timers. It's like, you can get a good back timer here. Force pressure. It's like, okay, I mean, you could do something else, but it's like, no, back timer, back timer. So he got a back timer where he got Tyr and Sheen simultaneously instead of a very early Tyr into a Sheen. So
it's a great back timer.
Kind of get both of them at the same time, which actually is a good back timer because then you have an offensive item and one that you're scaling up, as opposed to you just have a tier where the other guy has like a pickaxe or something. So you actually lose trades at that point, whereas with the Sheen, you do actually win a lot of the trades in the poke ahead of time.
That is a prime back timer. Something to write home about.
No matter what I say about them, is just repeat that.
I love it. It's fun. Very fun to say. Mike Young making his way through the jungle now. Seems like we're going to get a little more aggression. Love towards the top side of the map. Maybe a dive onto Dokla here in a little bit. Meganar just went down, so it won't be for a few minutes as bot lane gets the rotation from Bjergsen. Like everybody's saying, yeah, no, maybe. Let's get vision first here, and we'll figure out what we'll do after that.
Yeah, people are kind of going after little power spikes. The Ezreal's not in a great spot to fight just yet. You kind of want to get that first item and use your Kleptomancy to get a little bit of a gold advantage before you fight, or fight over a Drake. And then for things like Rise, you really want the Abyssal Mask in a tier before you start going and looking for all-ins. Same thing with Victor. Like, you really do need like a 3,000 gold per champion to really start looking for those fights, especially after what happened in that early part of the game where PoE blew his flash after Bjergsen did now. So waiting for some summoner spells to come back up and waiting for some item spikes here.
That was actually good on TSM to kind of force that as well. PoE having the advantage of 2 summoners in lane would have been a bit too crazy for Bjergsen to handle as well. Wards would not have just fixed that up. Catalyst there and tier for Bjergsen, so he can stay in lane for levels and for just piling up that mana. Backs now. We'll see what he comes to lane with here. Unsealed Spellbook. Possibly just stay on flash and heal. Yes, it does. And he makes his way back to lane.
Yep, doesn't have to swap out the heal for teleport because he isn't really getting shoved in here from PoE just yet. PoE has the second upgrade with both his E and his Q upgraded. So he has the shove, and then he has the extra shield on his Q, movement speed, which really does make the fleet footwork work.
Yep.
We're back to the prime ward killing claps.
He knows. Dokla actually went pretty far to find that one. Good for him.
Yeah, I actually really like that as Camille. Is if you ever get lane priority, which he will with the Tiamat sometimes, just roam towards mid, look to use your ultimate, and then you can go for kills and fish for them. If you're not getting kills on your lane opponent, at least affect the map. And it's things that people used to do in Season 3 where they would roam from top to mid back when people didn't use teleport. You just keep going mid and trying to affect another lane. And that's exactly what Dokla was kind of doing there, especially since he doesn't have his teleport anymore, and Hansard does. So he's actually putting his team at a disadvantage here, because he can't TP in here, and you can see that they brought Mike Young down to try and force this turret.
So overall, from that 8th minute, when we kind of saw everybody on the left side of the jungle, or a little bit over 8, maybe 10 minutes, it was wards for TSM. Now they've moved a lot of wards bottom, but still have a full set of wards across the map as they continue to push. This now helps them get the bot lane. We see Optic has tried to set up the defense, but TSM has still kind of put all these wards around the pinks. They can't be seen, and they're still getting vision. Interesting.
Yeah, there's just a lot of vision coming down from TSM in the jungle as they pushed up. And you can see Sven was able to push for that turret alongside Mithy, and a lot of that was the pressure that they were providing in lane. And Mike Young just had to kind of come down and visit while Acadian was on the top side. They'll try to trade the Rift Herald for all of that.
Success.
Yeah.
Oh, Hansard just coming out of Meganar. Possibly a slow here. Bjergsen wants it. Mithy's going to be there. Glacial Fissure is up for him if they wanted to get the ultimate in, but they do not follow through. This Hansard just gives them another what for.
Sven is by himself on the bottom side of the map, and they know that. They can't really find an opening on this Ezreal. He'll just be able to Arcane Shift and get away. And Dokla's actually going to face check it. Actually super risky. He has a ward up.
Interesting. Doesn't want to use it.
He just used it there.
Yeah. Found him. Got a quick hit. The T-Mat strike keeps Mithy from backing. That actually affects bot lane here. They're kind of toying around, but Sven has been held here for a lot of damage on the turret. Mike Young's called down for a bit of respect on this play. And mid lane could be hit by Acadian and Power of Evil if they figure out that TSM's getting stretched in here.
Exactly. That back is actually huge, interrupting it. It's a bad back timer, Riv. Oh, no!
It's the bad BT. You got to watch out.
TP from the back there. You're seeing Mithy is actually coming too. It's a double TP.
Bjergsen as well. Realm Warp coming down. Optic had this on the kind of first few steps, but TSM has been able to read it and sees where it was going. Power of Evil having to get under the turret, not where he wants to be, gets locked down with a few turret shots as well. Arrow and Bjergsen in a 1v1, but that's easily his. And patience pays off for TSM as Optic tries to get that dive they've been looking for.
Yeah, finally they end up looking for a dive, but TSM, Mithy, backs, swaps out with the Summoner Spellbook to get teleport, TPs alongside Haunter, and Dokla used his TP earlier to try and get back to lane to have some pressure because the Gnar was trying to go after his turret, go after his minion waves, and that actually put his team at a little bit of a disadvantage. It's something that you do in like solo queue and you don't get punished and people just match, but if the guy walks back, sacrifices like maybe 3 to 5 CS to keep his teleport, then you can make plays like that happen where you set up your team.
Bet you they didn't expect Mithy on teleport either as well.
I don't think they did
Spellbook will still get you like that in this deep into the game.
Yeah, it's a double TP here, and then you can see they engage, so that Power of Evil and Acadian have to go a really long way around to actually get in there, and then the scoop onto Power of Evil, they'll pick him up. Bjergsen goes after Arrow here, off on the side, and Arrow already leaped and flashed away, so Bjergsen gets that solo kill onto him, because Arrow was in an awful spot once the TPs came through.
All that vision kind of paying off for TSM, having it in the top side and the bottom side. If there was any fog of war, kind of figured out that it wouldn't be enough for a champion to even be in at that point. And now TSM 2-0 with about a 3K gold lead, and they were able to grab that first Cloud Drake. So movement around the map helps. We were talking about how this helped Mike Young get to those side lanes, even more speed for him. So a little bit of escalation in that advantage.
Yeah, and a lot of this gold lead is from the AD carry here from Sven, who's been doing phenomenally during this lane phase, up 17 CS, was able to power down that turret with the help of Mithy and Mike Young's guarding. He's up almost 2,000 gold now from the help of Kleptomancy and all the things we just discussed.
Rift Herald top side?
Potentially, the Rift Herald would knock down the turret, and he doesn't have too much time left on it as well.
Right, he's up to just a quarter left. He's got to use it in this brush to make sure he doesn't take any damage. They're going to have a rotation from TSM once they see Power of Evil as well making his way up. The majority stands towards that top side. Haunter no TP, and here comes a Rift Herald. Almost getting hit. Got warded out, but they are good to go.
This will be interesting because there is a TP advantage for Dokla. Oh, Rift Herald actually doesn't kill the turret.
Could they get another swipe? Just that hit? Oh no, they kill it down. Wow. So they do enough damage. True Shot Barrage just ticking a few more hits as Sven focuses it, and they actually control the turret, kind of meaning Optic doesn't get the chance to move around as much as they want now. They still have to focus on 3 outside turrets, 2, however, ready to fall.
They did enough damage to it because Shelly does a % of her HP, her current HP, to the turret, and they did about 1,000 damage to it before it actually charged, which saved their top lane turret. Hold on, they'll fight.
And now the retaliation. Glacial Fissure down, slows Power of Evil, Elimination, everybody in the same spot. Arrow tries to get back to the Cosmic Binding safety, and he does. Another jump comes in, he gets himself a Summoner heal, Realm Warp does the party, enter right on top of the heads of Optic here. That's going to be Elimination and Arrow going down. TSM say we are still going forward, and the dive comp is getting dived on right now. Dova, if you will, by TSM. Optic, Power of Evil, keeps himself alive in the mid lane, but Bjergsen team does not look like they'll stop just yet.
Yeah, Optic took so much damage at the very start of that. Arrow caught out in front, takes a beating from Mike Young, and then Dokla cancels his TP because it's already looking like a lost fight, and then Bjergsen re-engaged them.
Q missing, Power of Evil, Gravity Field down, nicely done. Whoa, Bjergsen going low, getting himself way too close.
Whoa.
Heal goes down, and he cannot flash out as it just came up.
It literally just came up. He was about 5 seconds away from being able to have flash there, but even in that situation, he's already dead to rights. He's caught out. Dokla got a turret, now he's trying to run away from Haunter.
That's that situation where you say, at 10 seconds, you're like, I'm going to have flash soon. And then you engage 5 seconds too early, and you're like, oh, that was too soon.
You look down, you're like, all right, 10 seconds to flash. You go in, you engage,
go.
you root, you do all these things, you look down, 9 seconds to flash. Wait a second, that was only a second? That happens all the time where you're just like, really?
It's so long. Here's this fight again, though.
But watch Arrow's approach here. He's off on the side, and then he's going to take a lot of damage here from Mike Young on the opening. Goes over, gets hit by the Q from Ezreal, and then Dokla's like, okay, I'm not TPing in there. He cancels it, but then Bjergsen re-engages the team, goes forward, gets the root, and then that allows them to pick up Arrow and Elimination.
Now, you see the secondary as top lane just got taken during that replay. Power of Evil, they throw the Gravity Field down, and Bjergsen little too heady on the play.
Yeah, it was a good hover from Acadian to be on that side, and it was bad from Bjergsen to feint towards that side because he didn't have control of that jungle. He had control of the left side jungle.
Holy wards for TSM as we come out of that replay as well. That bot side, even top side near the blue, completely envision a security system for TSM to keep themselves safe here. Question marks go down onto the ocean. Drake Mountain was taken. I should say that was onto Acadian as Mountain was just taken.
I have to say,
Now
Riff,
two Drakes to their
every
favor.
time you're like, holy wards for TSM, we're like talking about TSM's wards, I have to turn my meme brain off for a second. I'm just like, wait, is he memeing about TSM's team? Oh, okay, he's actually talking.
But they're real,
actually
there are
talking
wards.
about the real wards on the map. Ugh.
I'm a rare memer.
Yeah, I've actually noticed that.
Rare memer, big jokester.
You're like, you know, you'll meme if it's like a quality one, it's a refined one.
You gotta get that, the essence of the meme. Coming up on 20 minutes in, it's still just about a 4K gold lead. It's 3-4. That's been held by Optic, which means they're kind of holding on to things, but not making any ground just yet. TSM is still finding holes in this defense, and another one on the bot side is Haunter gets a free turret to himself.
Yep, Haunter gets that turret, and once again, lane assignments for Dokla. It's been a little bit all over the place for Optic, and you can see the canceled TPs. Dokla is about, I think, a level, almost a whole level down at this point. Yeah, he's about a whole level down at this point behind Haunter, and he's about 30 CS behind as well. And you're really looking to try and get this Camille to either have a split push advantage over the Gnar, which will eventually happen with some items, or you're looking to try and introduce her to team fights faster than the Gnar can get there, and that just hasn't been happening. So the teleport discrepancy has now been kind of evened up, and you can see that they both have them off the cooldown. So the next kind of point of action is really who gets there first, who is the initiator on the fight, and can they actually have a clean initiation? Because we are seeing some good items come through here. PoE now at 2 items with his completed Hex Core, and the Rylai's. I need some water.
Look at all these. Clearage. The return on investment for finding the wards feels great. As a support, I love watching them all be cleared and placed. It's euphoric all day long. 21 minutes in. Remember, this game ties up these teams if Optic is able to get that victory. Somewhere they didn't think they'd probably be at that point. Probably thought to themselves they'd be higher, but what a kind of tough start that they had trying to find the communication and find the way that it would work for them. Here, gonna work for TSM as they get a nice round warp onto Power of Evil, and it does seem like this is kind of that point where if Optic is behind, they kind of have trouble finding that next direction they want to go, what that next win condition will be from.
Yeah, and we were talking about split pushing at the very beginning of the game and how TSM played the Galio Kazakhs into the split pushing, the 1-3-1 with the Fiora Vladimir that Echo Fox had. Kazakhs plus anybody who can collapse on side laners is so good in split pushing.
Yep.
So if you find somebody in a side lane, 3 people show up there immediately. Power of Evil just got flanked by Bjergsen with Realm Warp and Mike Young coming in with the Kazakh Stealth. So being a split pusher against TSM's composition right now, it feels really bad because you're going to have a target on your back from this Kazakhs that you can't really see coming.
We're starting to see little shades of this TSM we hear from scrims that are always kind of taking lanes. The stats we've been seeing now kind of pushed into the mid game, more towards the late game where, yeah, they win lanes. Yeah, they're kind of doing this, but they're not putting anything together late game. And now the vision is still kind of allowing them to do that. They've lost it now, so we'll see if they can re-put it back down on the side of Optic.
Is that how you get the fans excited? The shades of TSM, 50 shades of TSM scrim.
Good God, Zyrene. Kids, Matt, there's kids. No pressure yet on this mid turret. Still, Bjergsen holding well out there. All that pressure, double summoners down in the mid lane to start things off. He's able to do 249 to 228, 247 to 208 on the bot side, as Arrow would have been pushing Sven and Mithy, and they keep their farm up as well. And we even saw Sven down there for that extended period of time before the teleport play, keeping his farm up, keeping that turret up for the team.
Yeah, Sven's been doing a fantastic job this game, and so is, I believe, Mike Young in figuring out where he needs to be at what time, because it's not always easy to track side laners and lane assignments of the other team and manage your own simultaneously. So TSM are doing a good job of answering what Optic want to do and shutting down a lot of their options. And now it looks like a setup for Baron, where if they can find PoE here, things like this, where the Realm Warp is up for Bjergsen, there's potential for flanks, and PoE can't go too far up, and he can't face check by himself. So he has to call like Acadian elimination people over. Look at that! Mike Young right on top of Acadian, and he doesn't even know it.
Ooh, Glacial Prison locks him up mid the can't even save him. The shield is up, but Mike Young. Oh no, that's the turret going down.
Yeah.
I thought he died.
No, Mike Young
It's
had to
like, my
flash
eyes
away.
deceive me.
He had to flash away
All right.
from that.
I only saw the kill sheet, and I looked up to the left. So he's alive. Mike Young lives. The turret goes down. Things are dying, just not people. 24 minutes now, and it's the mid lane they want to try to get here. Concert doing so much work on the other side of the map and making things work for the team.
Yep.
We're going to see if Bjergsen can start to do that on the top side now as he pushes in. And Dokla, a little respect paid here, but Concert probably still take this fight pretty good.
I actually think Dokla's in a really good position once he gets the Ravenous Hydra. That'll turn him on in terms of the split push build, and he'll be in a really good spot to deal with the Gnar and keep tabs on him, especially since he's at level 14 now, where you'll have the maxed hook shot, and he has 4 points in precision protocol. So when he hits level 15, he'll have the max Q and E, which really help Camille out. You want that gap closer and that primary damage ability maxed before you can really kind of deal with the Gnar.
And is there anything in the situation that you actually have to dodge, have to make sure you're missing? Maybe a few boomerangs, or can you just take it all out?
Whoa, you can't be doing that.
Oh,
though.
not a 3v1. Blast going back over when you kind of make the other decision. He wishes he made that one first, but not going in. We see Dokla going down as he gets a little ahead of himself there and kind of leaps before he looks.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect way to put it, Riv. Leaped in, he has a control ward, and he had a few seconds before his warding totem, but they're just able to go after him and collapse, and here's a TP onto Acadian.
Oh, slows, hyper, flash, Minty over the wall with the flash. Glacial Fisher to lock down the remaining members on the caboose of the exit train from Optic, and that one falls right off the rails. TSM to Baron.
TSM are finding those little cracks in the armor for Optic, and they are just making them huge gashes, making it so that Dokla, one mistake, huge punish across the entire team. He got caught, they get to make a TP play on the other side, and they get Baron.
Seems like everything TSM is kind of putting on their plate, they get with little struggle.
Yeah.
This one, they put themselves in a little bit of a position and then say, we have the control of the fight.
But watch this from Mithy. The flash ultimate tags Acadian. Even if Acadian wasn't going to flash there, he still has to go over a slow zone, and it really does cut off options. So it's a fantastic ultimate there from Mithy and the flash. That was beautiful.
Not giving really Optic a chance to breathe in this situation. You know, Optic set up a bushwhack on the bot side. Nobody is going to try to take down Dokla just yet. Oh no! It's Hanser! Walks into the brush. He's going to face check and go down. Optic also trying to pull things out of the woodwork here for themselves as TSM grabs another Drake.
Yeah, Sven was on the top side, so they're able to make a play, and even if that gets turned around there, they have a 4v5 in favor of Optic having the 5 members. So they'll get bot lane priority, but they trade it for mid lane priority here. And that Baron buff is going to do a lot of work here to help them get damage on this mid turret.
Mike Young checking the sides, making sure they have an exit path here, and also making sure you can get to Sven if they need protection. Arrow, rapid fire on. Oh, Minion just didn't get there in time. Gets himself shot, but he'll get that bottom turret down. They gotta work quick though. Arrow backs off. He's gonna be with the team. 2 turrets now falling with that Drake here for TSM as they make their way. Maybe not bottom. They say that's enough. We probably have a good chunk of change to spend.
Yeah. Since they don't have Hanser and he doesn't have teleport, he couldn't reinforce them if they went for an inhibitor or inhibitor turret. But if you look at the build that Hanser has here, the Phantom Dancer, it's actually become more and more common for Gnars to build this somewhere in their build. You usually see it 5th or 6th item, not always 3rd, but this is so he can answer Camille in the split push for longer, because eventually Camille takes it over in the 1v1, but this really does lower your team fight prowess, but it increases your ability to deal with Camille in the side lane and pushes back that timer further for when Camille is threatening your split push and pushing you out and threatening your turret, so Gnar can actually have the advantage for a little bit longer here.
These 3 wards down on the bottom left. Wonder if these teleports will be used all over from TSM. If they've had a few where they just appear behind Optic, and if it's not the wards they appear behind Optic with, it's Realm Warp. The map control has just been insane here for TSM this game, and now they get to start their own split push on the side lanes here with Bjergsen towards the top, and Hanser just doing what he's been doing on the bot side. The team now joins him as Baron is down, and nice move as Sven, he has something in mind and finds the rest of Optic hiding in the brush.
Yeah, Bjergsen's going to split push on the top side. The lane assignments for TSM seem fine, where they're getting gold onto their solo laners who can join, and then there's kind of putting their 3 other people on the bottom side here. And for Optic, I actually think this is an okay position for them. It sounds strange to talk about, but in terms of overall strategy, hold on though, Bjergsen.
Great catch. Optic's been waiting to get one of these of their own. Bottom lane's getting hit pretty hard. If they can't take down Bjergsen, this is so much of their resources for nothing, and he is able to walk out Seraph's Embrace on top of his own shields, and TSM still gets to add the pressure on the bot side.
He's pretty tanky. He's very tanky.
Very, very.
Able to get out of that with just using the Ghost and walking away at the very end. Had a lot of movement speed. Even with the Rylai's, still wasn't locked up for long enough.
Those Merc Treads.
Yep.
Skitter right out of there. Give it a little shake and you're good to go. 30 minutes. Actually, TSM making quick work of the structures on the map right now. Optic not finding their way in. Can't even get onto Sven. Playing too safe in the back when he knows his team walks away. The communication just seems to be seamless here for the way TSM is playing, and they're not going for more than they can handle at this point. They're just doing what they can, and it's working perfectly.
And I do kind of want to take a moment to explain this because, like I had said, I actually don't think this is an awful position for Optic. They're down 10,000 gold, but the map is condensed for them. They haven't lost any inhibitors yet. And so when you have to defend things, having all of it really in a concentrated area is much easier to rotate between top, mid, and bottom when you only have to walk 10 feet instead of reinforcing tier 2s, tier 1s, and having to go through your jungle to do so. So the only thing that Optic really have to leave their base or their safe place for is the Baron or the Dragon. And the Baron is not up for, I think, about 3 more minutes here since it just fell off, or 2 more minutes. And they really don't have to do anything except farm for now. So I think Optic are in an okay position, especially since the scaling of Victor will just increase to the point where he could potentially one-shot something like the Ezreal or the Kha'Zix later in the game. And the Tristana is just now at that 3-item point and is going to get stronger. So it's not completely smooth sailing here for TSM. They still have to worry about Optic's timers and how they crack this base, because they aren't a very intensive wave clear composition, right? They don't have the Victor laser clear everything out like Optic does. They have a Ryze that has to set up his wave clear, right? And he's kind of the biggest source of wave clear here, and it's not even that effective. So I think Optic can turtle up, but these Barons really do have to go to TSM if they want to clear it out, or they have to find ways to use the Baron timer to find base pushes. I
think really without vision, Optic's doing a great job at, you don't really see a team get that push out to 2nd tier turret all the time. They're farming right in front of that Nexus turret, so they're even buying a little bit more time, trying to find out where TSM may be, and putting down wards they may not be even able to secure.
Well, at this point, you go, I don't even care if they have my jungle now.
Right.
It only matters in a minute. So we don't have to face check them just yet. And you can start getting these items in, start working on it. You see Arrow now has his last Whisper. And a death cap now for Bjergsen. So Bjergsen is in a fantastic spot in terms of his build. They do have to worry here about what Optic is capable of doing in the defensive position. But now, with the Baron coming up, now, Optic in these team fights, their positioning has not been good all game, and they really have to figure out where they're going to place Arrow in these fights and keep him safe, because this Tristana's been going down very quickly.
Makes it tough as well, because you want Power of Evil to kind of disrupt everyone's positioning with Chaos Storm, but he's getting pushed around by Haunter. Bjergsen can walk right at him anyways and make him not stand still, so Chaos Storm is kind of out and stays. You can't click it around too much. Gives Arrow, as you said, a little more trouble to find positioning. And then it's on Lemon Nation to hit the perfect Cosmic Radiance as everybody's in that chaotic jumble being thrown around. Definitely a difficult position to be in, but you're right. They're kind of getting fed the resources right now, making themselves that much stronger.
Yeah.
We'll see where the point they can get to before TSM really can break the base. They do have good clear. Arrow, Power of Evil, even with that Baron, without Baron.
Interrupted the jump. Bjergsen's here, though.
One hit. Oh my word!
Woo!
100-0. Haunter kind of just took a Polaroid there during the situation. Hopped right out of the Glacial Prison, reaching a little bit as they thought they had TSM on the run. But TSM's just looking for more fun.
Yep. Has Dokla going for an aggressive play there. One of the criticisms of him yesterday that Jack had levied was, go for that play when you're that Camille up against, the Elder Dragon was the situation. Go in, be aggressive, and he wasn't. There, he's too aggressive without the resources or the timing of his team, because Acadian looked like he was going to get there first, but it was just off a tiny bit in the timing.
Baron Dose. Oh my word. Heals and shields coming down. Bjergsen almost Really half-shotting
Cadians
elimination
coming around the
there.
side. They're going to leap in and try to go.
Baron minions come up. They'll be able to slalom in and out of these minions and use them as defense. Arrow very low. Acadian tries to put himself in between as the meat wall. Doesn't want that damage to come through. The tankiest person goes down first, and here goes the rest of them. It's going to be a lot of damage on the Power of Evil. Haunter looks to lock this one down for himself, and he just pounces on his target as TSM play with their food.
Oh my God. Bjergsen does so much damage when the Death Cap came through, and he just obliterates everybody. And the rest of the team is pushing for the win.
TSM on the top side, making plays across the map. Almost impossible to keep 100 HP against them right now. Dokla finds himself even under that on the fountain as he tries to find a little bit of solace. Hextech ultimatum on Haunter. He says one more 1v1. Mike Young. Got to be the scumbag and intervene. It's going to be the Nexus going down, though. TSM moving to 6-6 as they take down Optic.
And get themselves a 2-0 week and break the streak of having those weird weeks for themselves.
That they did.
Optic gave up that defensive position, went for some aggressive plays in the game at the very end there, and TSM were ready to counter.
Man, I think they knew about the Acadian pressure mid lane as well. At first, they kind of didn't consider it, and it was very scary. Bjergsen, double blow on the Summoners, almost got Mike Young to go down on that invasion that we first saw with Acadian and Power of Evil. And then, quickly, the boom 1-2, it turns around. There's a play in the mid lane, they get Power of Evil's flash, that lane evens back out, Bjergsen's able to get ahead, and the roams start coming in mid-game.
And this kind of looked like the TSM that people were thinking would arrive at the beginning of the season. Bjergsen played phenomenally well on that rise. We saw Sven and Mithy, that bottom lane, looking fantastic in that 2-on-2. They got that very early turret with Mike Young hovering it. Mike Young was aggressive, and Haunter was able to not just win that split push for the beginning of the game, but win it throughout the entirety of the game.